Hello, everybody. This is Howard, the Teaser King, coming to you with whatever week this is. Week 14 NFL, week 15 in college. Huge week last week. The Locks were 3-0. Clemson, Green Bay, and the Iowa State under against Kansas State. Iowa State actually scored more than I thought, but they have a good defense and they held them in check. So it's a huge week. In the pros, um, finally wrapping up last night, I was 3-1, 4-1, 5-1, 6-1, 7-1. I was 8-1 in the pros. The only loser is Seattle. The lock was Green Bay. I avoided Kansas City because I didn't like to lay 13 and a half. And I hit the Atlanta game, but I didn't play it. I had mentioned the dog was 15-1. The Houston Indy dog was 15-1. I did play Houston. Um, the Rams, they were 7-1 as the favorite, and they'd won the last six. I had them. And the only one was KC, who had won the last 10, but that's straight up. But I don't like to lay 13 and a half, although KC played a terrible game. Um, they couldn't, it's like their play calling near the goal line is terrible. Everybody's trying to say how good Andy Reid is. I remember him in Philadelphia when he didn't do crap. He'd lose the playoff game 4 times in a row. Yeah, that's Andy Reid. And college, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4-0. 5-0. 6-0. 7-0. 7-1. 7-1 in college. The only loser was Memphis Tulane over. I was 56, and my over was 57, so I missed by 1 point. Surprised Memphis. Memphis doesn't seem to be as good this year. Brady White's good, but they're not. They're missing Gainwell or Snackwell, the running back, who's very good, and he's sitting out. And I really hate players like that. If you're injured, I get it, but if you're healthy and you're just sitting out because you want to get drafted, I would never draft that player like that. Even Chase, the wide receiver at LSU, who's fantastic, sits out this year. He really hurts the team. LSU's not as good this year. And a lot is because you've had these players coming up, like Alabama. You don't see Alabama's players sitting out unless they get injured. And that's the difference. I was very surprised that a couple of the LSU stars have sat out without being injured and worried about being pros. If Joe Burrow didn't play his senior year, he never would have got drafted. Same thing with Chocolate Eclair, same thing with Jefferson, all these superstars. You got to play and show your talent. Now, Chase played, but he played with Joe Burrow and Chocolate Eclair and Jefferson. So is he really that good? But, when you got to worry about these other players, is Chase as good as he says he is? So let's see him this year when he doesn't have those players, if he's a superstar. I mean, I'm looking at the Alabama receivers who are, great in college, and then you get them in the pros. And Judy hasn't done anything, and Ruggs made the good catch against the Jets last week, but that's about it. He's not, it's not like college where you got all the speed and these guys get open because they're playing, New Mexico State and Arkansas State. There's no New Mexico State in the pros, so that's the problem with Alabama. Tagliavue looks like crap. He throws when you watch the game film. I watch the highlights, and I would say that 95% of his passes are for 5 yards. He just dumps them off the line, so no interceptions. He's thrown for 6 touchdowns, which is okay, but nothing special. Against Cincinnati, who's terrible, they had a real tough time scoring touchdowns. They got 1 touchdown. They were there 4 times and had to settle for field goals. So he's. I was shocked. I played Miami because I thought he had injured a thumb and Fitzpatrick had played the week before that he was playing. If I knew Tug Tagliabue was starting last week, I never would have played Miami. I don't trust him. Um, like I said, all he does is throw 5-yard passes. I mean, you're losing to Cincinnati 7-3 just about at halftime, or I think it was 7-6 at half. I mean, Cincinnati doesn't have a defense. Their only player is Joe Burrow, who's hurt. A.J. Green didn't do much. I give Miami's got a good defense, but very way over publicized this Tug Tagliabue guy. So with that said, keep your eye on the COVID. Like I said, Pittsburgh was going to have a tough time against Washington because they played Wednesday and then they had to play Monday. You're basically looking at Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 4 days rest. It doesn't work. It works if you know you're playing Thursday and you play the Thursday night game, but you know you're playing it, and then okay, now I get a week and a half off. But the way it was, they had a week and a half gap, but you don't know when you're playing. Are they playing Thursday night as they were supposed to? Then Sunday, and then it's Monday, and then it ends up being Tuesday. Then they ended up playing Wednesday. So then you're off schedule because they never play Wednesday, and then they had to play Monday, which was ridiculous. Not even giving, and this is football. You can't give them 4 days off. So again, you've got the problem where Pittsburgh is playing Buffalo Sunday night. You just played Tuesday. They played Monday. So it's a little bit more normal because they will play Monday nights and then play Sunday nights. The same thing with Baltimore, who played Tuesday and now playing Monday. So that's a little bit more normal. But it was totally unfair for Pittsburgh last week, and Washington is actually a very good team. They're not that bad. They got a good, strong defense. Alex Smith, I've never been big on him, but they're playing okay. Rivera has been a decent coach, nothing special. Is coaching real well. He's keeping it together, and they're playing well. So Washington, they deserve to win, of course, but Pitt's playing very unfairly with the screwy schedule. So they'll get a little bit back to normal with the Sunday night game. Again, $200. I'd like to thank everybody who purchased, and it's still on the $200 special. It's really the rest of the year. You get all the locks, all the games, and through the Super Bowl, through the college playoff, everything. $200. So it's a huge deal. Merry Christmas. People who bought last week have already got it paid for. The locks were 17 units. They both won right there. That I'm assuming you're playing at least $100 a lock. That would pay for the whole. Now the rest of the year is free. This week, I love the pros. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I got 13 plays in the pros. Very strong plays. This week, what I try to tell you and teach you is the matchups. In certain weeks, they're not there. The wrong team's favored. You want to get San Diego favored, they're not. You want to get Seattle as the dog, well, they're not. Last week was beautiful. San Francisco went favored against Buffalo. That was a huge. Had them in 2 big teasers. What else turned? San Diego became favored -2. I took New England. The Rams were okay, only laying the 3. Oakland was only laying 7. And a quick word about Oakland: they're terribly coached. This is a team that no defense. I mean, the Jets marched up and down the field on them. Then they got a 24-13 lead or something like that. And they let, maybe it was 24-14, but they had a big lead in the fourth quarter, and the Jets scored 2 touchdowns, take the lead. Just some bad coaching. I don't know if it was bad coaching. He blitzed, which I don't mind, on the Hail Marys. I hate when they send 1 or 2 players and the quarterback sits there for an hour, throws the Hail Mary. You've got 3 or 4 players in a group with the 3 or 4 receivers, and anything can happen. Instead of, if the quarterback can't throw the ball, they'll never score. I didn't mind that. I thought that maybe you blitz 1 too many, and then maybe the guys playing them, and when he did the stop and go, Ruggs, he bit on the stop, which made no sense because he was never going to stop and go. There was no time. He had to go long. But to that credit, he didn't just do a fly pattern. He didn't just do a fly pattern. He did a stop and go. And I guess he knew the cornerback would bite on it. I'm sure they talked about that and knew what the cornerback would do, which is why the Jets, haven't won a game. Versus Oakland, who needed to win and played horribly. We got a break and won, laying the 1.5. But see, that's the thing. When you get these bad teams, like the Raiders, who need the game, right? So you bet them going, well, they play the Jets. They're not a strong road favorite. The Jets are covering a little. I mean, they're not, they covered last week, right? And so you go, wow, the Raiders have to win. They lost the week before to Atlanta by 50 points. They'll have a little pride. No, that's bad coaching. When you get blown out by Atlanta, first of all, Seattle went there and blew them out. So you go there and get blown out, and then you go to the Jets after a blowout loss to Atlanta, and you lose that game? I'm assuming they stayed on the East Coast, although Gruden's so stupid he might have flew back to Oakland and then flew back there. I don't know, but just terrible coaching. They're not prepared for the Jets. Sam Darnold's terrible. You're letting him run. All he does is run. I hate these quarterbacks that they go back in the pocket. Carson Wentz does this. And half of these quarterbacks do this. Josh Allen, I mean, it's terrible. The good quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers, how often does he run? Very, very little. He wants to throw the ball. Roethlisberger, Drew Brees, these guys don't run. Brady never ran. These guys, they want to throw the ball. That's what a quarterback's supposed to do, is throw the ball to the receivers. That's why you got receivers, and you pay for them. You give them a big salary, not so the quarterback can go back and run. I mean, yeah, it's probably there, but how many of those guys win? None who go back and just run are winners. I mean, Lamar Jackson right there. I'd rather have Todd McSorley out there any day than Jackson, because he throws the ball. He's going to throw the ball. Anyway, so that's I see this with Darnell and Wentz, and you can see their records, right? So Darnell, I would just put a spy on and blitz him. Josh Allen, I would blitz every down. He's terrible against the blitz. I don't understand why nobody's doing it. The Niners, terribly coached. These coaches are so overrated. It's insane. Seattle, what the hell's happened to Seattle? They lose to the freaking Giants with Colt McCoy, who didn't throw for 100 yards, and he loses that game. Like, what am I watching here? Where was the offense? All of a sudden, you're letting the Giants pass rush bother you. Like, did you ever hear of a screen pass? How many screen passes do you think Seattle threw? Like 0? What the hell is that? I mean, the Giants are easily beatable. All they have is a pass rush, so you screen them, and you trap them, and you draw them all day. I mean, that's easily how you beat that type of defense. And Russell Wilson looks terrible, and Coach Pete's got his head up his butt, worrying about voting instead of football. These guys are so distracted with the voting and the voting, and let's vote instead of, you know what, Coach Pete, your team sucks because you're worried about voting and not coaching. So you got to get your head out of your butt and start coaching. Terribly coached the last month, I think. I can't trust them to beat. They're playing the Jets this week. I wouldn't take them on the money line. I can't trust them. Darnold will have a field day against that defense. So you have a terrible team, terrible strategy. Russell Wilson, who's throwing more interceptions than touchdowns lately. I don't know what's going on with Seattle, but they look terrible. Anyway, let's get to some games. Let's talk about this week. So, like I said, basically the whole table I love. The only game I'm avoiding is Dallas-Cincinnati. This would have been a lock Cincinnati if Joe Burrow was playing, but I don't even know if Brian Finley's the starter or the other kid who played last week. Some Allen, Brendan Aaron. They're all named Allen now. But Dallas is pathetic. They should be running the ball with Ezekiel Elliott down everybody's throat all game. Andy Dalton is better than what he's showing, but he's not showing a whole lot. And it takes time. I don't. It always blows my mind how the coach, you got a backup like Dalton, how he doesn't get a dozen snaps in practice. So when he walks into the game, it's not like he's never thrown a pass to these guys. It's terrible, but just terrible, just incredibly bad coaches now. There's really not a good coach. There's a few good coaches in college. In the pros, the coaches, I mean, when you're hiring Matt Patricia, and he's the best candidate you can find, what does that say? So it's just pathetic. But let me give you a game. I'm going to give you, well, there's so many. Let's, all right, let's go with the Atlanta San Diego game. Atlanta's laying 2.5 over under 49. Mostly, if you look at the numbers, so let's go to the numbers. Let's quantify the pick. So when I look at this year, Atlanta 7-5 against the number, 9-3 against. They haven't been a road favorite. This is a really weird situation for Atlanta. San Diego is 2-0 as a home dog. San Diego is 10-2 against the number, losing twice as a home favorite. Against San Diego's 12-0. Just pathetic. You bet against them every week, you win every week. It's just incredible. But when I look at Atlanta, I don't have any information on them as a road favorite. They've been mostly the dog, and they're not very good. If I go back to 2019, San Diego's 3-1 as a home dog, 3-1 against, 26-2 against, and I got Atlanta 1-0 as a road favorite. So I can go back one more year to see if I can get more Atlanta. So I go to 18. Atlanta's 3-2 as a road favorite, 4-1 against. San Diego's the same, 3-1. They're not a home dog much. They're a terrible home favorite, 14-2 against, which is why I took New England last week. I didn't trust New England, but I know San Diego, and here New England shuts them out 45-0. Where did that come from? But Belichick has a way of handling that. The new quarterbacks. He's good at devising defenses and taking things away. And he's the only coach that apparently knows how to do that. Let's ask Pete Carroll and John Gruden how to do that. They obviously clueless. Let's go to the over-unders. So when I look at Atlanta, they score 26 a game, give up 25. So that's not a very good defense. They're giving up 25. They throw for 280 a game, run for 100, so they're getting 387 yards a game on offense, which is good. They will score. San Diego scores 23 and gives up 29. So here's the problem: the defense. One of the problems is Bosa's hurt, and Melvin Ingram's hurt, and their safety is always hurt. The kid from Florida State, I don't think he's played a game yet. He's been hurt for 2 or 3 years now. Justin Herbert throws for 280 a game. They run for 113. Not bad. 400 yards a game. You wonder how the hell New England shut him out. I think they got down there a couple times close, and the kid missed 2 field goals. One got blocked. I know New England ran a punt and a blocked field goal in for touchdowns, so they just scored strange ways. When I look at what I'm showing, I got I have Atlanta. Atlanta's an over. Teams that score 26 when they don't have that great defense, 25. In the NFL, that's an over team. In college, it's not, but in the NFL, it is. And then San Diego, they score 23, but they give up 29. So they can score with Herbert, but they're just giving up 29 a game. And see, now these stats are more meaningful. They played a number of games. They played Kansas City. They played the Raiders. So they played a lot of games. So it's not like a light schedule and the stats aren't really good. You get that in college, usually in the beginning when they play Rice and New Mexico State and teams like that. Then it can skew the stats. But in this situation, in the pros, it's pretty much they got to play KC twice and Oakland twice. So this number is set. So let's look at the quarterbacks. So Matt Ryan on Atlanta. So he throws for the 286 a game, 18 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, sacked 31 times, which is a lot but not the most. Russell Wilson's been sacked 40 times. A little hint into what's going on there. Ooh, here's the big winner. Carson Wentz sacked 50 times. Holy Christ. And let's look at San Diego. Justin Herbert throws for 293, 23 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. So, not a problem there. So, basically my pick's going to be derived at looking at the game going, well, the over-under is 49. I know Atlanta's going to score a lot on San Diego. And Herbert, after getting shut out, is playing Atlanta, not New England again. So normally he's good for in the 20s. We look at a 40. It's going to be 43, the over/under, going over 43. And when we look at that, 23 to 20 is all you need, right? That's your 43. So 24 to 20 gets you the W. In this game, I can't imagine that either team will have a problem getting there. Atlanta, again, you always got to check Julio Jones. He's injured every week. And Ridley, but I'm looking at them. They're not out. So I look at Atlanta to score probably 30 and San Diego to get 28. I'm looking at a 58, somewhere in that neighborhood. So let's play this game over. I don't trust Atlanta as a road favorite because I don't have any information. If I go back, let's go back to 2010. I go all the way back to 1995, but Brett Favre isn't playing anymore, so So I usually go back. The last 5 years are the most meaningful, especially with all the new quarterbacks and the change in coaches. It doesn't help you. The only one's Belichick, who's been there, and then now Brady's even on Tampa, so that doesn't help you. But if I go back, Atlanta is 28-10 as a road favorite. If I go all the way back to 2010, so let's wind it to 2016, and now I get Atlanta's 11-3 as a road favorite. San Diego is a home dog 7-2. So they're not a home dog a lot. They're a great road dog 25-2, but not home dog. They're usually home favorite, and they usually don't cover. So I don't trust Atlanta. They've had their issues. I don't trust they'll win the game. I don't like road favorites, as you know, unless it's Kansas City, it's New Orleans, maybe Baltimore is a good road favorite, but not Atlanta. Losing teams, to me, I can't play as a road favorite against San Diego, who's a good team. Yeah, they struggled last week, but again, they're not playing New England this week. And this is the biggest problem most bettors have. They look at the last week only. They're not looking at the big picture. The big picture is San Diego's a very good offensive team. They got a good quarterback. They got Keenan Allen and running backs. So their problem is their coach. He's lousy. I mean, they play every game close except for last week, but they lose every game. He doesn't know how to win, and he's a lousy coach because he's been doing it for like 3 years now, losing really close games, and they got too good of a team. You put Urban Meyer there with that talent, and they'd be 12-2 right now. You get a good coach, and it makes all the difference. Harbaugh would be great there. If he leaves Michigan, I would grab him. I would grab the guy, the coach from Coastal Carolina right now. That guy fucking beat BYU. You got to be kidding me. Nobody can beat BYU. They should be in the playoff, and here Coastal Carolina, beats them. So just keep that in mind. What better coaches are out there? So I don't trust the Atlanta coach, or they don't even have a coach, right? Their coach is gone. They're playing better uncoached, which shows you that the coach, like the Detroit, can actually be a negative influence, not a positive one. Usually it's the players that cause the problem, but if the coach makes the players not play well, then just by getting rid of the coach and me and you coaching, all of a sudden the team plays better because they're not hindered by the bad coach. So I can see San Diego easily winning this game. So that's why I'm going over 43, because I don't trust Atlanta plus 3.5 to get the W. San Diego could easily win by 7. It wouldn't surprise me. San Diego probably would be a good play, getting 8.5, but I don't have the numbers because I don't have Atlanta as a road favorite enough. And unless I can really feel the game, I'm going to play it from the angle of Atlanta can score, good quarterback. San Diego can score, good quarterback. Both the defenses are lousy, and I really can't trust either coach, so I can't really play the game for one team to win like I could, Buffalo over San Francisco. I knew Buffalo was going to win. So that's what happened. So I'm going to go over here. Let's give you one other pro game, since I got so many. And let's do the same thing with Tampa Bay, Minnesota. Tampa Bay laying 6.5, over under of 51. All the over-unders came out at 45, and I was drooling on Sunday going, are you kidding me? Mini Tampa 45, and then there was Detroit Green Bay 45, and it was just like, seriously? So now they've adjusted it to 51. And again, if I look at the numbers, it's a Minnesota. It's really no trend at all. If I look at Tampa Bay this year, they're 8-4 with Tom Brady against the number, 8-4 against. As a home favorite, they're 2-2, 4-0 against. They beat Green Bay as a home dog. They did not beat Green Bay as a home favorite. So again, as a home favorite, they're 4-0 against. Minnesota, road dog, 3-1 against, 2-2. Minnesota's only 7-5 against the number, 9-3 again. Again, they don't have the defense they've been having. If I go back to 19, now there's no Tom Brady, so it's hard Tampa Bay's 9-0 against as a home favorite. Minnesota 7-3 as a road dog, 6-4 against. So I can't really take Minnesota as a road dog here. The best road dog I would take would be Buffalo 9-0, Houston 10-2, San Diego 9-0, Seattle 7-1. I would love Seattle against them or Buffalo. Arizona's 10-1 as a road dog, and the best road dog you wouldn't believe is the Giants 12-1 as a road dog. I would have taken them against Seattle, getting all the points last week, but you had Colt McCoy. How can I bet on Colt McCoy? He's terrible. So you couldn't, that's why I took Seattle was Colt McCoy. Now I don't know what to do because, he's terrible, but their defense is so strong. So I think they're becoming an under team, just a sidebar. So, again, I can't trust Tampa in this role. Like Baltimore. Baltimore is only 6-6 as a home favorite. So here, Tampa Bay's 4-5, 9-0, but you can only go Tom Brady 1 year. And if we go New England, with Tom Brady at New England, okay, the last 2 years, and again, it's hard to go count 20. Well, let's look at New England 20. They're 2-2, 3-1 against this year. So if you go back to 19, New England's 11-2 against as a home favorite. So that's Tom Brady, and he wasn't that strong of a home favorite. So I can't trust Tampa to win this game. They just don't look right. Minnesota, I don't know what they're going to do. Kirk Cousins, horrible. They gave Jacksonville, what was the score of the Jacksonville game? 27-24 is 10-point favorites. I did not play this game. Again, Jacksonville, who knows who their quarterback is. And so I think Tom Brady is going to rip up Minnesota if Jake Luton or whoever was the Jacksonville quarterback lit him up. So that's taking me down the path of looking at the over-under. So let's look at the over-under. So we've got Tampa Bay. They scored 29 a game, give up 23. So they don't have a great defense. Is great with the points. The best defense is Pittsburgh at 18, Miami at 18, Baltimore, New Orleans, and the Rams at 20. Those are your best defenses. Tampa Bay comes in at 23. So you can see there's a big difference between the top 5-6 defenses, and then here comes Tampa. But they're going to score you 30 points a game. Brady throws for 275 a game. They're only rushing for 96, which is a problem. 371 yards. And it should be higher. They should run the ball more. They should have screen passes and little flat. They need the White out of the backfield. They need the Edelman crossing, giving Brady easier passes. Right now they just blitz him. However, Minnesota doesn't have a defense, so Minnesota's not going to bother him. But Minnesota, what they do is score 27 a game, and they give up 27 a game. Last year, Minnesota was giving up 19, 20 points. So here, they signed Cousins, which was their first mistake, and then they can't sign all their superstar defensive players, which was their second mistake. So they went offense instead of defense, and now they're just an average team. And their defense is terrible, but their offense isn't good enough. Cousins is not very good. They throw for 250. They run for 145. So will they run Cook 66 times in this game? I don't think they can, because Tampa's hard to run on with an Ndamukong Suh. They have another guy in the middle. They have a very good defensive line. They're not going to be able to run on them. They're going to have to throw. So when I look at the teams, again, I have Minnesota as an over, 27-27. So they score a lot and they give up a lot. The overs are usually weak defensive teams, but they have a good quarterback and they can score, like a Seattle, Minnesota here, Oakland. If we look at Tampa, they score 29 and give up 23. So I call them a B versus an over because their defense is pretty good, giving up to 23. But they score 29, so they're 5 or 6 points more. So if they gave up 27, they'd be an over. But giving up only 23, they show a decent defense. So I give them a B. The only three A's I got are Pittsburgh, Kansas City, and New Orleans. Those are your best teams, stat-wise, as well as they've got superstar quarterbacks, strong defenses. Pitt giving up 18. Again, Pitt really hasn't played too much. And Washington, Washington put up 23 on them, so their defense is pretty good. And I give Washington an applause to score 23. But again, it was a 4-day week for Pittsburgh, so you just throw that game out. So what I'm seeing here is Tampa will score a lot. Minnesota should score. We only need where am I? We only need 51 again, so we need 45, which is 24-21. And again, I don't see how Tampa doesn't put up 30. And I don't see how Minnesota doesn't get in the mid-20s. They're not going to shut out Minnesota. So let's look at last week. Tampa was off. Minnie plays a 27-24 game with Jacksonville. Let's go back to the Kansas City game. Tampa Bay, Kansas City was 27-24, a 51. I did have that game over. So there you go. They scored 24 on Kansas City's pretty good, which is what they should score. But Kansas City got 27 on them. And really, the second half, they just sat there. So that was a 51 against a good defensive Kansas City team who also has a good offense. That's why they're an A team. So I like this Minnesota-Tampa game as an over game. Over 45. Tampa should win, but I remember Minnesota giving Seattle all they wanted in Seattle, where they ran the ball to keep it away from Russell Wilson. I don't see Tampa does not have the same defense as Seattle, so Minnesota won't be able to just run it and take all the time off the clock. I don't see that happening, and I think Minnesota would have learned a lesson from that, where I think you'll see Minnesota trying to score a lot more. So they have the offense to do it. Jefferson looks great at wide receiver with Thielen. And, of course, Cook, running back, as bad as Cousins in, he still can get some points. So I see Minnesota getting in the 20s. I see Tampa getting in the 30s. Is 50. We only need 43 here. Or no, 45 here. So, again, it's a very good overplay. And I know some guys don't like over-unders. They want to play the team. But you got to look at the quarterbacks and the defense and look at the game. And if the game says, you know what, the over-under, a lot of the over-unders are dictated by the number. So in this instance, you have a 51. That's not a 58, right? Where you let in trouble is the over-under is 58. You cut it to 52, and the team wins, 28-20, which is a 48, which is a pretty normal score in the NFL, but you don't cover the 52. But when they're down lower at 51, like a lot of these over-unders this week, many of them are in the 40s. The highest one is Green Bay, Detroit at 55, and a Tennessee, Jacksonville at 53. But the rest are in the 40s. Well, this one's 51, and Indy, Oakland's 51, and then the Atlanta game's 49. New Orleans is 44, Washington 43, Pitt 47, Baltimore 45 against Cleveland. Seems ridiculous. Most of those you can tease over and anything in the 40s almost. There's one or two games I would take over, which would probably be the Washington or under. It's probably the Washington game, and the Giant game would be the unders. Dallas, Cincy, I have no idea. I don't know who can they score or not. But there you go. So there's just, like I said, this week is jam packed with locks and every game, but the Dallas Cincy game, I can play and play big. I mean, this is a beautiful board. This is what I try to teach you. When you play poker, when you're playing Hold'em and you get a 7-3, you're probably going to fold the hand. I don't see the value of playing it catching a pair of threes, and what are you going to do with that? Or a pair of sevens with the three kicker, what are you going to do with that? So you're pretty much going to throw it away. Um, that's what you do with teams. That's what you do with games. You pretty much throw them away. You go, nah, this game, Dallas Cincinnati, I have no idea. If Burrow was playing, it'd be a lock Cincinnati getting points from Dallas. Dallas is so bad. But you don't have Burrow, so you trust the Cincy quarterback a little bit. Dallas, Dalton could be okay. I like him. I think he's not bad, but he's got to adjust. McCarthy's terrible as a coach. Another terrible hire. You had Aaron Rodgers for 10 years, and you won one Super Bowl. And that Seattle game you lost is just a miracle that Seattle won that playoff game on the fake field goal and then the onside kick, and then Russell hits him long. I mean, that guy can't coach. I mean, he's terrible. He doesn't know how to win. So I mean, it's just terrible. So that's what I'm saying. This week they're all lit up. Locks galore, strong plays galore. Pros, like I said, there's only one or two I'm not playing. So again, if you want, just buy the week. It's $75 just to buy the pros. You get the locks. College, let's get to college. I'll give you one college game because I gave you two pros. And we want to make some money, so I can't give all the games away. But I'm going to go to the Army-Navy game. Army lanes 6.5. Over under down to 38. Here's my point about over-unders. If this was a normal 46, 47 over-under, this would be a lock under. Because it's 38, it's so low that I can't play the normal over-under I would play in this game. I've played this game under the last 10 years. I've won it easily the last 10 years. Why? Why is this game such an under? When very hard to practice against Army and Navy and teams that run this style of offense because of the speed. They run it all the time. They're quick at it. You just can't defend it. Notre Dame does a good job on Navy. Clemson would probably do a good job. But look at Army. They went into Oklahoma a couple years ago, and it was 21-all into overtime with Oklahoma, who averages 50 points a game, could put up 21 on Army. A lot of it is because Army runs the ball. They run it on 4th and 1, 4th and 2. They run it. They get it. Navy, same thing. They run the ball a lot. So it makes usually for an under game. And this could probably still go under 44, but the over-under, when I first saw it at 40, I thought, oh my God, it's pretty low. But now it's down to 38. It's just if you're going to play it under, play it lightly. But this is where I'm talking about the number making the bet, right? If this was 45, it's a lock. It's at 38. I can't play under 44 because they could easily get 47. I mean, I've been locking Army winning every week but one, and that's when they had two turnovers and one in the end zone, and on the next play after the kickoff, the guy fumbled and gave Georgia Southern 2 touchdowns without them doing anything. And the rest of the game, they didn't score. So that was a 55. Now, that was a fluke because there was 2 gift touchdowns. And that's what happens. Where does the turnover happen? Because you're always going to get turnovers in the game. If Army turns the ball over at the Navy 1, it's an under. If Army turns it over at their own 1, it's probably going to be an over because that's a gift touchdown and they're not running clock. So the worst thing in an over is to run the ball all the way down the field, fumble the ball, miss a field goal, and take 10 minutes off the game. You'll never get over if teams are doing that. And that's what Army normally does, although they will get the points. However, when I look at Army and Navy this year, Army's a very good team, Navy not. So if I look at my Army-Navy, so we go to Army first. They're an independent. They score 30 a game and give up 16. They're an A team. Now, they've played some minor league teams. It's funny, they'll play like a Holy Cross or a Villanova, and then they play Georgia Southern, and you're like, at least stick to Division One. I can't bet Division when they play Division Two games. They're not on the board. So they pass for 50 a game. They run for 300, so 350 yards a game. They got a new quarterback, but their defense is outstanding, and they can score 30 points because they wear you down, and by the end they're pounding you. When I look at Navy only scores 18 a game but gives up 32, and here's the trigger for the bet. Navy's defense is terrible, but their offense is not very good. They throw for 107 yards, which is crazy for Navy, but they only run for 185. They only get 300 yards of offense in a game. That's terrible. But normally their defense is better, and here their defense isn't any good. Now, granted, don't know because they practice against their offense, don't know Army's offense, which is always the case in this game. I see probably 20-some points for Army and in the teens for Navy. Probably get into the upper 30s, low 40s would be my guess. I have Army winning the game. And again, they're laying 6. You got it even. Army's a much better team than Navy. They're better coached. And the Navy just doesn't have, they're not running the way they used to. They won't be able to ball control it the way Army can. And I think Army eventually wins, 23-10 or something like that. So I think Army can score, Navy can't, and Army's defense will be able to hold Navy much stronger than Navy will be able to hold Army, even though they see they'll defend them well. Army will put in some gadgets. Neither quarterbacks like they've been. 2 years ago, Army had a great quarterback. Last year, Navy had a great quarterback. This year, neither of them really have a great quarterback. So, like I said, this is probably still an under, but at 38, it's just so incredibly hard to play this game under. But I do like Army even. So take Army, beat Navy. Basically even, just win the game, and I think Army will win the game. I just think they're a better team, and the Navy offense won't move, and the Army offense should be able to score. For them to average 30 points a game, the big thing was against Georgia Southern when they were down, and they won the game 28-27, and I think there was a couple other games where they were down and came back to win. So I just think Army knows how to win. Navy's terrible this year, and it's not a really good thing to bet the Navy. So go Army. My huge lock was going to be Ohio State over Michigan, lane 29. They were going to win by 60. Because when they play Michigan, the second team doesn't hit the field. Fields would have played deep into the fourth quarter. They had piled it on. Michigan was pathetic, couldn't stop the wind. Decent high school teams would have beat them. Unfortunately, that game's off, so I'm a little bit upset that I can't bet Ohio State. Again, I'm upset I can't bet Cincy over Tulsa. All my superstar teams, it's frustrating because either they don't play or these games are getting postponed by this COVID, even though there's a vaccine out for it. And not one player who's played this year in college football has gotten seriously sick from it. The teams seem to look at Lamar Jackson last night. He has COVID. I don't even know if he had COVID. I think he just he tested positive, but, if you feel fine, how can you test positive for some disease or some virus and not really have it? And then these tests, so the test positive, he's fine. He played. He didn't die. He's fine. I mean, this is what I don't get. It's such BS. Excuse me, but I'm tired of having government lie to us, and we're supposed to just be idiots and go, oh, yeah, okay, I guess. It's just a control issue. It's a political issue. It's not real. It's not. I've had my friend's sister got it. 2 days later, she's fine. How's your sister? She's fine. Well, you said she had COVID. She's fine. So of all the people, you die with COVID, but not because of COVID. So if you have other symptoms and you get COVID, you're not dying from the COVID. You're dying because you had a stroke or a heart attack or something. But that's with COVID. But because of COVID, nobody's dying because of COVID. Anyway, I don't really want to go too far there, but it's frustrating when here's a lock we could make a lot of money on. We can't play it because Ohio State tested positive, but none of the players are getting sick. I mean, it's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. I mean, the flu's more dangerous, and we don't stop games for the flu. Um, Here's your Z teams for this week. Pretty much, you just bet against them, and they all W'd. Florida State, Utah State, Vanderbilt, Bowling Green, Akron, New Mexico. Just a few. Not as many as last week. I have a good half dozen. I don't know if I'll have a college lock, although I do like a lot of over-unders in college. Um, but my big lock got taken away from me, Ohio State. Um, and then Cincinnati, I've been betting the whole year and winning. There's a couple I can see locking. So this will be a huge week. Again, the pros are huge. So many games. College, a good 6 to 8 out there. Again, as of today, as of 6 o'clock on the 9th of December, these games are active. And it seems to be more in college. In pros, they just play it the next day or two. In college, again, the Ohio State gets postponed. So we got only a handful of games. There's only 5 games I see postponed this week. But we'll see next week. Or we'll see, today's Wednesday, we'll see on Friday if there's another 10 that get postponed. I don't know. The whole thing's absolutely ridiculous. My thoughts, my opinion. That's life. Anyway, so take Army over, you take Tampa Bay over, and you take the Atlanta San Diego game over. 2 overs in a game. This is all huge week this week. Again, the $200 for the rest of the year. Just buy either the college or the pro $200 monthly, and then I'll give you the password for the rest of the year. I'll just switch passwords for you. I'll give you the live one for the rest of the year, and then you get every pick. I'll probably post later tonight or tomorrow. I just like to make sure of injuries. The only thing holding me back. But I checked the injuries so far, and I don't see any like college. Central Michigan's quarterbacks questionable. USC, UCLA, Slovis, the great quarterback for USC, is questionable. The Rice quarterback's questionable. Michigan State, Lombardi's questionable. He's terrible anyway. And that's all I see for now. No major stars. Anyway, so this is Teaser King. Huge. The last 2 weeks have been huge. I think I'm 18-1 the last 2 weeks in the pros. It's 10-0 in week 12 and 8-1 in week 13, 18-1. You can't look at me for 1 week and then make your judgment. You've got to look at me for the whole year or multiple weeks to understand that certain, like this week is the whole board, and some weeks you can't find any games, but I got to give some games, so I try to play certain games instead of saying, well, I'm not going to play any games this week, but everybody who bought my picks, I gotta pick for them. So they're just smaller bets and smaller picks because they're not as strong. It's all confidence. It's all based on the spreads. you get the like San Francisco. I would have locked Buffalo last week had the spread come out San Francisco -2 or -3, and I would have locked them with Green Bay. Instead, they were the favorite by 1, and I didn't like Frisco at all. I was probably going to play Buffalo, but I couldn't lock them. But by the end of the week, I think Saturday, all of a sudden Buffalo goes to the dog. For some reason, the Niners go to -2, and I got Buffalo in 8, and I'm all over it. I played them in 2 huge teasers, and I would have locked them with Clemson huge. So I ended up doing Clemson, Iowa State under, which won, and then Clemson, which I told you about, would win by 100, won by 100, and I played that with Green Bay in the lock, but I would have had probably Clemson, Buffalo, and Green Bay, Buffalo in a lock. But again, it's the spread, right? When Buffalo's favored by 1 or 1.5, it's not a lock, but when it goes to Frisco being favored, now I got the team that I want as the dog, a very strong dog, very strong offense, good team, getting points from a weak Frisco team. You love it, but it doesn't come till too late, right? It doesn't come till Saturday, and I've already got my locks out there. I don't want to play Clemson in 3 teasers, even though I loved it, and I didn't want to play Buffalo. I played them with the Raiders in Miami, and they both scared me. I couldn't believe that. I couldn't believe the Raiders couldn't beat the Jets, and Miami's playing around with Cincinnati, and you're like, Jesus Christ, boys. I mean, these are automatic wins. You want to make the playoffs, and it's just, that's bad coaching. But anyway, so that's what happened. So the locks come. Again, if Army-Navy was 45, you wouldn't have heard it because it would have been the lock going under 51, and that would have been an easy winner. So anyway, that's what happened. So I'm keeping an eye on the picks and the line. The line moves, and it's just like stock. If the line drops, and I like the other team, I'm gonna jump on it at that time. So that's the way you win betting sports. So anyway, have a good weekend. Again, the $200 special. You get all the games through the Super Bowl, and you can just buy the week. I would buy the pros. If I bought nothing else for $75, I'd be buying the pros, the locks, and see. But when you buy the pros, you get the pro locks. You just don't get the college locks. If you buy college, you get the college games and the college locks. That's why it's. But they're each $75. But for $100, you get everything for the week. So you get all the pros and the locks and the college and the locks for just $100 if you bought pro and college. So if you know, but then for another 100, you get everything through the Super Bowl. So I'm giving you a Christmas gift. If you want to take it, fine. If you don't, I respect that. I don't know if a lot of people are out of work and can't afford the play. They're not gambling. I don't know. I hope everybody's doing well, and I hope everybody's working or gets back to work soon. It's terrible what's happening closing these small businesses. Anyway, have a great weekend. Teaser King, www.teaserking.com. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you very much.